In this film, we will show you how to replace the air suspension module on the front axle of a Mercedes-Benz S-Class Type W220. Remove the ignition key when working on the air suspension module. It's very important that you follow the instructions exactly as shown. You need tools and equipment provided by the vehicle manufacturer to replace the air suspension module. Check the modules against the installation instructions. First, remove the new suspension strut from its packaging. Read the assembly instructions. Remove the fuse from the control unit. The fuse box is located in the engine compartment on the left side. Measure the vehicle's height before dismantling the module. Measure from the center of the wheel hub to the lower edge of the wing. Note down the result. Check the suspension thoroughly for any damage. Next, jack up the vehicle and remove the wheels. Carefully disconnect the electrical plug-in connections on the suspension strut. Remove the bottom two retaining screws from the air suspension module. Use a suitable device to disconnect the ball joint from the upper control arm. The nut must not be used again. Once the upper ball joint has been disconnected, you can fold away the axle leg. Then disconnect the air suspension module from the ball joint of the lower control arm. Use suitable tools to dismantle the height sensor linkage. Wear suitable protective eyewear when working on compressed air systems. Next, carefully loosen the compressed air line on the suspension strut with a suitable tool until you hear the sound of air escaping. Once you have loosened and removed the nuts on the strut tower, the air suspension module can be removed. Caution: secure the suspension strut. Remove the suspension strut. Do not remove the safety label until you are ready to install the part. Next, position the new air suspension module and bolt it to the strut tower using new self-locking nuts. Take the new O-ring out of its packaging, discard the white cap, and mount the O-ring on the vehicle's compressed air line. Handle the new O-ring with care to avoid damaging it. Position the suspension strut on the ball joint on the lower control arm and fasten with new screws. Caution, make sure the strut is positioned correctly. Tighten the retaining screws to the manufacturer's specifications. Mount the ball joint for the upper control arm in the hub carrier. Caution, use a new self-locking nut. Connect the electrical plugs on the suspension strut to the vehicle. Make sure the cables are lying correctly. Bolt on the height sensor linkage. Tighten the retaining screws securing the suspension strut on the ball joint of the lower control arm to the manufacturer's specifications. Once the air suspension module is successfully installed, the wheels can be mounted. The tightening torque specified by the manufacturer must be observed. Never lower the vehicle from the lifting equipment while the air suspension is depressurized. Only lower the vehicle until it touches the ground. Then lower the lifting equipment further until the vehicle stands at a height of 400 millimeters. Next, insert the fuse into the control unit. Start the vehicle and wait for at least 2 minutes. Then activate the elevation function in the onboard system. The cockpit displays the message, "Vehicle is being elevated." Once elevation is complete, check the compressed air connection for seal integrity. Always align the axles after working on suspension parts.
Bilstein. Drive the legend.